In the wide-open plains where the golden sun painted the land with fire at dawn, there was a cowboy named Luke, a rugged man with weather-beaten skin, a Stetson hat pulled low over his eyes, and a heart that had endured more storms than the endless sky above him. His life was simple, guiding cattle through dusty trails and playing his harmonica by the campfire at night. Yet one fateful morning, as the wind carried whispers across the desert grass, he heard a desperate cry, a woman's voice trembling with fear and shame. "Please help me, cowboy! They stole my clothes." Luke reined in his horse, his sharp eyes darting toward the riverbank where the cry came from. There, crouched behind the tall reeds, was a young woman, her hair wet from the river and her face pale with embarrassment. She clutched herself tightly, trembling, vulnerable, and humiliated. Luke quickly turned his head away, giving her dignity, and spoke in a calm, steady tone. "Ma'am, don't you worry. I'll help you." The woman explained between sobs that she had been bathing in the river when a gang of outlaws, cruel drifters who prowled the land like wolves, had stolen her clothes for their sick amusement, leaving her stranded and exposed. Luke felt anger rise in his chest, for a true cowboy lived by a code: protect the innocent, defend the helpless, and stand tall against wrong. Without a second thought, he shrugged off his long brown duster coat and tossed it gently in her direction. She pulled it around herself with shaking hands, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "Thank you, stranger," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I didn't know what I was going to do." Luke gave a small nod, his jaw tightening. "Those men who wronged you won't get far. Stay here by the river. I'll find them." With a kick of his boots, he rode hard across the plains, following the trail of laughter and footprints in the dust. The sun was high and cruel, but Luke's determination was fiercer. Soon, he spotted them. 3 outlaw drifters leaning against a wagon, drinking whiskey, the stolen garments hanging mockingly from their saddles. Luke's hand hovered near his revolver as he called out, his voice steady as thunder. "You boys have something that don't belong to you." The outlaws sneered, mocking him, thinking 1 man against 3 was no fight at all. But Luke was not just any man. He was a cowboy forged in hardship, with nerves of steel and a heart that beat for justice. In the tense silence that followed, dust swirled around their boots, and the air felt heavy with the weight of an unspoken duel. Then, in the blink of an eye, the outlaws reached for their guns, but Luke was faster. His revolver roared, and before they could even fire a shot, 2 were disarmed, their weapons flying into the dirt. The 3rd tried to run, but Luke's lasso whistled through the air, catching him around the chest and dragging him to the ground like a steer at a rodeo. Luke stood tall, his revolver smoking, his eyes blazing with the fire of a man who feared no evil. "Now!" he growled. "Hand over what you stole." With trembling hands, the cowards returned the stolen garments. Luke didn't bother punishing them further, for their shame would ride with them longer than any bullet wound. He turned his horse back toward the river, carrying the bundle of clothes across the land where justice had been served. When he returned, the woman's eyes lit up with relief. She took the garments, her hands shaking as she clutched them to her chest. But more than the clothes, it was the honor restored that made her tears flow freely. "I don't even know your name," she said softly, her voice filled with awe. Luke tipped his hat, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Name's Luke, ma'am. Just a cowboy passing through." She looked at him, her eyes glistening with gratitude, and whispered, "You didn't just give me back my clothes. You gave me back my dignity. I'll never forget you." Luke mounted his horse, glancing back only once before riding toward the horizon, where the sky burned orange with the promise of tomorrow. The wind carried her voice after him. "Thank you, cowboy." And though he rode away, the story of that day would live on, whispered around campfires and in quiet hearts. A tale of courage, kindness, and the timeless code of the cowboy. And to you, dear viewer, if this story of honor, bravery, and compassion touched your heart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us for more powerful tales that keep the spirit of courage alive. Because every story we share is a reminder that in a world of outlaws, there are still cowboys willing to stand for what's right.